Welcome to today's webinar. Uh, of course, this webinar is kind of really special for us, where we are going to explore just not strategic, but a game-changing approach to everything what we're going to be talking. Of course, the topic is to win multi-million dollar K-12 curriculum adoptions, right? I'm absolutely thrilled to be your host today. My name is Bala Subramaniam, and on behalf of Kitabu's team, thank you very much for joining us today. Okay, now before we completely dive in, let's take a moment to think about the digital transformation we are living through. By 2030, this is some of the data. What I know, there's a lot of data which our guest is going to give us, but I just want to give one small data point here. By 2030, the global digital content market is projected to be surpassing 200 billion. That's the number we are seeing, 200 billion. I don't know how much is that, right? But that is driven by schools, educators, and publishers racing to deliver the learning experience that are also engaging, content streaming on our phones, laptops, and tablets. That's what we're talking about. That's like more than a shift. With the new AI coming in and with the digital transformation, there's a lot going to happen with that. And there is a multi-million dollar sitting there. We're going to talk about how to win that. And to talk about that particular topic, we have a speaker today with a true force of nature in the education space, Leslie Chamberlain. Leslie,
Hey, everyone.
hey. So, quick intro about her. Leslie has started a career as a music therapist in a school where she touched lives upon note after time, I would kind of say. And then she packed her bags and then took her passion for education all the way to Mongolia with a Peace Corps empowering communities in some of the most remote centers on the corners of the world, where she's talking about empowering them. And from there, what's interesting is she's on the cusp of earning her doctorate right now in education. And that is bringing in a data-driven perspective to her role as a customer support expert in Kitabu right now. Right now, whether it's helping our customers navigate complex contracts or driving exceptional results, Leslie is someone who makes education not just a profession, but a purpose. That's what we see. So get ready for insights that aren't just strategic, they are informative. With that, Leslie, the stage is all yours. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Bala. I'm really excited to chat with all of you today to share with you just what we were talking about. We have such an opportunity in front of us, and I'm thrilled to share with you what's possible. So, just like Bala was saying, right, there is money on the table. Um, as you know, I come into this from an educated perspective. I want to make sure we're providing the best education available to our students. The good news is there's so many of you out there that create stellar, phenomenal products that need to go to the students for our students to be able to have these great experiences. So, with that in mind, did you know that of those dollars that are coming through, there's a possible $7 billion in 2030 in K to 12 instructional materials. That's up from $4 billion today. That is a lot of money on the table. And if you have an extraordinary product, I want to make sure that we can empower you today to absolutely put those materials in front of the students, because I want those students to have the best materials. And I know it's not always the best materials that are put in front of students, because it's always not necessarily the best uh, the best product that is giving the best pitches. And we want to make sure that the best product is getting the best pitches. So today we're going to talk about the K to 12 landscape. We're going to talk about what makes Kitabu different, how we are able to serve schools, and then I'm going to share with you a wonderful example of a great curriculum, a great partnership that we have, that we are working with, and how we've been able to help them gain those multi-million dollars, gain a piece of that pie of those millions that are out there. So let's look at this landscape. I know when you step back and you look at everything that's out there, it is terrifying to think of all the bureaucracy that exists and how you can actually get a piece of that money, right? Because it goes into education and it's all connected to the government and it seems really tricky. But I want to share with you really what it comes down to when you are selling to these schools, these states, these institutions. There really are three main things they're looking at. And we're looking at curriculum alignment, accessibility, and digital readiness. That is what leads you to getting those dollars in your pockets. There is so much that is going to be out there, and we just want to make sure that you're focusing on what matters to those schools, what matters to their states. And before we even get into it, I want to share that it's not even just statewide adoptions that have these big multi-million dollar contracts. We're talking about getting these contracts. There's two big things that I like to think of as well. One is it could just be a sizable school district, which there are a lot of. There are quite a lot of out there. And the schools that the publishers that we're working with right now are getting a lot of these multi-million dollar contracts not from statewide adoptions, just from two things: finding a really great large school district and building strong relationships and reputations in that area. Because, folks, as much as we'd like to think that we're just dealing with a statewide, massive organization or school-wide, we are still dealing with humans. We're dealing with people. And if you build a great reputation of creating a wonderful experience for the school, for the teachers, for the students, you will set yourself up for success. So as we look into this year, 2025, there are some massive adoptions on the horizon and more. Four really big ones of note. Let's look at the fact that Texas, which is the eighth largest economy in the world, it's massive. They have new they have new curriculum that's coming up this year. Also, California, the fifth largest economy in the world. It has math and computer science new curriculum coming up. So there's a lot of opportunity for stepping in and building partnerships with states. Alabama and Oklahoma both are looking into their social studies curriculums this year. Those are huge, huge, huge contracts that are sitting there waiting for someone who understands, like I said before, those big 3 points, which are around curriculum alignment, accessibility, and digital readiness, but also they have built great reputations. They are connecting with those teachers and those students and the administrators in a way that show care and respect and empathy for the folks that are going through this process. Because it's not easy. It's not easy for those teachers and those administrators to take on new curriculum. So let's talk about what do they really want. We said those big three pieces. Well, accessibility, you're going to hear it over and over and over again. And you need to make sure that you are addressing everything that is necessary. So when you think about accessibility, I want to talk about some major areas, accessibility features, if you will. What a great, what great accessibility has. Hands down, starting off, you want to be able to talk about uh, your WCAG. So that is Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. You want to be able to show your VPAT report and show that you are hitting all of those pieces necessary. But when it comes down to individualized schools or districts or states, why is it important? Because accessibility really is providing personalized support, right? You are talking about how your product can serve a variety of students and their needs. So when you are sharing that story, you're going to show the hard facts. You're going to show this is how our product hits everything that is required, but you tell the story about how those accessibility features are providing increased independence, how they're providing equal access, how it is creating skill development for every single student that is in that school, that is in that school district. And it is not limiting it to to just those high functioning students. We want to make sure that every single student gets their needs met. Then alignment with standards, right? We want to make sure that we are, you and we, Kitabu, are making sure we are making sure we're hitting every single state requirement. Every state's going to have something a little bit different. Every state, they may be focusing on STEM. They may be focusing um, on their accessibility. They may be thinking about how they're serving every single student across the curriculum. And you need to know that as you come in. You need to do your research. You need to show and tell. You need to show both things, and that you're aligning with everything they need. And then lastly, that technological integration, that that as you walk in the door, every single school is going to have something. There is a product that they have integrated, that they have dragged along their teachers and their students to use this product. And you want to make sure that you can integrate with that, because man, does it make it complicated. It makes it really hard for your wonderful curriculum to be part of a school if you can't integrate with the technology they're using. I can tell you from meeting with different school districts, it is a bulk of that conversation is how are you going to integrate with what we already have in store? I've said to people over and over again, I would be a billionaire if I could find one perfect technology that works for every school district and meets all their needs, and they go to one place. It is complaint over and over again. I don't want to have to integrate with something new. I don't want to have to learn something new. Hey, if you have a great curriculum that can work with their integrations, you're in a beautiful place. So we know that each state is going to make sure that they are going to get you to talk about accessibility, alignment with standards, and alignment with their technological integrations. That's when those are the three pieces they really want. So let's look at us here, Kitabu. We've been working with schools and states across the US, across the world, and we have made sure that we have followed these steps because we've read over and over again, this is what people are asking for. We've seen in our meetings, we've seen in RFPs, this is what they're asking about. So I can tell you at Kitabu, when you meet with us, we're going to share with you our VPAT. We're going to share with you the ways that each of those students are going to be able to learn, um, develop their skills, get that equal access, have that increased independence. We can do that with our tool. We know that. We know we've been able to show that. Uh, and we have great success stories of ways that folks have been able to do that. Our digital standards, we're not holding back. We're going to make sure that we are always taking a step forward. And I can tell you that uh, is a big benefit of how folks have worked with us, because as schools have new standards, as states have new standards, we're answering that call. We're immediately saying we're putting that at the top of our workflow. We're putting that at the top of the list of what we need to do to make those partnerships easier. We want to make sure that we are always on top and making those standards that meet with you and meet with your schools. And lastly, those integration needs. Like I said, this is the piece over and over and over again. And I will tell you, in my experience, sometimes it's the piece that really makes the difference between you and another publisher with if they're going to go with you. And sometimes it may even be the lesser of the curriculums if you don't have the right integrations. And I'll tell you, that's heartbreaking because it is, we want to make sure that students are having the right thing. But when it comes to what's going to be best for the school district to make that work, you need to make sure that your SSO, that you're rostering with as many tools as possible. Here at Kitabu, we work with schools that use Google Classroom, that work with Canvas, that work with ClassLink. So ClassLink, for example, goodness, let's jump into ClassLink. ClassLink has now statewide adoptions, statewide partnerships. For example, Georgia, Iowa, North Dakota, Delaware. Don't think about stepping into that school district unless you have an integration with ClassLink if you were talking about Georgia, Iowa, North Dakota, or Delaware. That's absolutely a statewide integration that they have going on, and that's something that's a partnership we have. We're a great partner with ClassLink. Also, SAML, that is something that we see day after day that our schools are working with, and that our professionals, our team, is really up to date on. They're constantly training. They're constantly making sure that they have the right knowledge. So we've talked about, hey, when you're in that position and you have all this information, the folks that are using your tool, the folks that are day to day, they need to understand how to use it and how to continue to use it and use it well. Because the people that buy in aren't the people that are using it, but they are the people that are sharing their stories. And as I mentioned earlier, having a strong reputation, a good reputation as a technology that people want to partner with, they have to make sure that it's made and used really easily for everyone, for everyone. So accessibility, digital standards, and their integrations. Let's talk about how we're different and how we've been able to help schools. Well, I'll give you a great example. There is a partner, a publishing partner that we work with. When they came to us, we knew that their ticket volume was going to get high and that we had to do something about it. So as their ticket volume increased by 5 times, we were able to drop that response time by 86%. Why were we able to do that? Because we have an extraordinary knowledge of our product. We have an extraordinary knowledge of customer success and how to create a meaningful, empathic, powerful experience for the folks using the product so they can use your tool better. So, oh no, we had a publishing partner that said, we've tried a million ways to create a great customer success experience, and we're just not. We're not hitting the mark, and we know what we can do well and what we can't do well. And what we do well is the great curriculum. We need you all at Kitabu to take over and create a strong experience for our partners. So thank goodness we were there and we were able to step in, look at their relationships, look at the products that were being used, and how we could make that experience faster, easier, and more understandable for each of those schools. And then happily ever after, not only did we create a great experience for the people providing tickets and asking us questions, we also were able to step it up with them during their RFP processes. And as I mentioned before, when you walk in the room and are trying to sell to those schools, those questions around integration, those questions around that digital those digital components and the accessibility need to be answered, and they need to be answered by folks that understand it. And that's us. That's us at Kitabu. And since we've partnered with this publisher, they have brought on several multi-million-dollar partners. Actually, just 2 days ago, they signed a K-2 new partnership with a multi-million-dollar school district because we were able to walk in the room with them as well and communicate how we use our product, how it's going to help with accessibility, how it's going to integrate with what they have in their schools. So at the end of the day, Kitabu is here to partner with you and to give you that measurable success. That measurable success can mean multi-million-dollar contracts in your pocket with your extraordinary products. That's what we want. We want students to be in the best position they can. Let us do what we do really well, which is set you up for success, which is set your users up for success. So you can focus on the stuff that you do really well, which is the curriculum and providing a really great product.
Awesome. 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 All right. Very good. Thanks a lot, Leslie, for that
Thank
quick
you.
wrap and also helping us with a lot of information there. In fact, we do have questions popping up, especially when
Oh,
you kind of showed
great.
that, the state adoption table. We
Yeah.
had like three questions popped up at that time, and then followed by a few. I think we
Yes.
have few time for the questions. I'll just take
Great.
one by one if you can go on that.
Sure.
Okay, so here is from one from Dorothy. Okay, so this is okay. Okay. Let's how okay. Let me reframe this. How was
Sure.
Texas different from California when it comes to say state adoption
Oh,
criteria?
goodness gracious.
That's
How is Texas different from California? That is a great question. It's in so many ways. There's this, there are the ways that they're very similar, right? We do know they're both extraordinary large states. They have exceptionally large um, school districts, but they also have completely different standards. So like I said, um, there might be a school district that's or state that's focused on STEM, and there might be a state that's focused on more DEI. And that is something to keep in mind, and that is something to research even deeply. If I were to um, let me think about this. Uh, in school curriculums. Well, even if you just think about the government in each of those states, there are, one is a very blue state, one is a very red state. So the government oversight has a big piece in that. So the State Board of Education in Texas versus the State Board of Education in California, uh, they're overseeing, it's a completely different set of people. Um, Texas doesn't follow Common Core. California does follow Common Core.
okay.
Uh, yeah, it's curriculum development. California is definitely going to be a DEI focused state. So inclusivity, you're going to learn a lot about equity. Like I said, it's Texas is more of a red state, so you're going to have a more conservative perspective. So as you go in something, and it's important, and thank you for bringing this up because it's important to remember too, and I didn't touch on this enough, that when you walk in the door too, you do have to have that open ability to listen to what those states are requesting of you. Do your research and know what they're at, what they're going to want as well. But also as they come in, they're going to ask you some questions, and you have to be ready to maybe hit the mark with 95% of what they want, and then be available to how can you take that last 5% to move around what you have in your curriculum to make it make sense for each of those individual states.
Interesting. That makes me to ask one question is like, of course, you spoke about the accessibility part of it. I presume that accessibility is going to be kind of common for no matter what state is that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, accessibility is must
All
must
right.
exist in every, yeah.
So, okay, let's kind of take that because I do have few questions on accessibility. I just want to
Sure.
kind of put that together.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
let's kind of put it in this way. So, when we talk about accessibility standards, okay, so
Yes.
let's talk about what accessibility standards are kind of highly accepted, in these states. I know it's kind of common for everyone, but what is that highly accepted kind of? Let's kind of start from there.
What do we need to focus on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to focus on, uh, for example, speech to text, right?
Hmm.
Especially more and more, we're finding more ways that that speech to text isn't just uh, it's a powerful tool for not just one population of learners, and it opens the door to, like I was discussing about that equity and learning,
Right, right.
that skill development and learning. So, speech to text is huge. I'm trying to think what else. You want to be able to contrast, visual contrast, right? Non-text contrast, making sure that buttons, form fields, um, indicator that the contrast ratio is appropriate for,
Yeah,
and could be changed or could is appropriate for all learners, just like text spacing or
got it.
hovering. This is character key shortcuts, um, pointers, all of these pieces. y- You know,
So, so,
yeah,
so Leslie, it's going to be definitely those things are going to be in the accessibility standards. I think
right.
for mobile, it's going to be one tablet,
Yes.
laptop. It's going to
Yes.
be in that particular way, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I get the point on the accessibility part of it. I have one more question. I'll kind of take that particular part. But before that,
Please.
uh, I want to kind of really, really understand. I started this particular introduction where I saw crazy numbers like, hey, you know what, 200 billion industry is kind of going to go up in say in a couple of years, and that's going to happen. You are in the digital space today. You know,
Yeah.
you see a lot of students consuming digital content. You're
Yes.
connected with so many schools, so many districts. You work with so
Hmm.
many other products, right? Tell me honestly, like, eh, okay, I put it in this way. I want to read a book. I'm going to take
Yeah.
a real book and read it. But I know the
Yes.
generation today is different. How
Right.
much is that really true? That the new generation is kind of adapting to the digital side of it. I really
And
want to kind of understand that particular market side of it.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will tell you, as someone also who is a child of an English teacher, uh, the physical book means a lot to me.
And the smell of it, yeah.
Right, exactly. Just the touch of that. Also, just visually seeing where I'm
Yeah.
at, like, look at how far I've come, right? And there's a little bit of that reward center that's triggered. Um, but you're absolutely right. It is the focus now. I can tell you, I just had a meeting last month with some college professors that I used to teach with at DePaul University, and that was the number one thing they were talking about. They said, we can't get students to physically read a book anymore. I mean, when you're saying, and these are professors that are dealing with 20% of the school's population at DePaul, which is the largest Catholic university in the country, in the world, actually. And 20% of those students they're saying, we can't get them to physically pick up a book. They need to have access on their phone. They need to have access on their tablets, on their laptops. Uh, they're not physically taking that book with them anywhere. We're not going to get them to buy it. We're not going
Yeah.
to get them. They must, yeah. It is a necessity. But also, so that's kind of my, like, you know, elder millennial sassy reaction. But also the other reaction is, think of what's possible when you have students who physically, that action of turning a page actually is a lot of fine motor skill that's
Yeah.
required. And
Right.
think about the accessibility. I mean, we joked around about it, but for Christmas, I gave my sister-in-law got a clicker for her reader. And so she doesn't even have to physically swipe anymore. She just clicks and keeps herself under the covers. But also think about what that means for students who physically can't turn those pages or can't swipe or don't have the gross motor for that large movement,
Right.
and that fine motor movement is what's necessary. Um, it is absolutely necessary as I think, get better as a country in understanding the needs of every single student.
Right.
And this is as making it as easy as possible, making it a level playing field for each one of those students to be able to experience those texts.
Amazing. All right. I think we have time for another one question. I'm
Great.
just going through some of the ones over here. some are very
Yeah,
basic questions. I think the recording should kind of, for those who have joined in late, I think the recording should kind of help you with those answers in
perfect.
terms of why it is important in terms of accessibility. More questions on that. But here's one another question on one interesting part where Daniel is asking. Now he's talking about, you spoke about a lot on the technical support for onboarding. Why
Yes,
would there would
yes.
be a technical support? Uh, is it complicated?
It
What's
doesn't
there
have
in the
to be.
technical?
I will tell you, as someone who's worked at multiple technology organizations, I've seen some onboarding for some technologies that have needlessly taken weeks or months when onboarding could take days. And
Hmm.
I will say, in my experience, what's been really lovely about Kitabu and the wonderful customer success team that I have the honor of serving is that we've been able to find ways to create that, to make a seamless onboarding. So it takes a couple days. It takes a day, right?
Wow.
And
Okay.
a lot of times I will tell you the big thing that makes that even longer is just waiting for the response from the school district to say, yes, I confirm that this is working. Just just that last confirmation of get us over the last, let us know that it's all good. And in hearing that back, it is a quick I think our average now is 9 days for an integration. So
Nice.
yeah, it's great. So we dropped that. I think it was closer to 100 days before, and we're really, yeah.
Hundred to nine. Okay. So
Yes, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long if you know what's needed and you ask the right questions early on, and we take the heavy load off of you. So you're focusing on the curriculum and teaching and moving that forward with your teachers and students, and we're handling that integration
right.
part.
Perfect. I think I'm going to kind of leave that, the question part over there. There are a few more. I think we'll be happy to kind of take that on the emails and the other supports part
Perfect.
of it. All right. So quickly, I wanted to kind of, really thank you, Leslie, on sharing most of the insights here, especially on the part of, what are the, I mean, literally to look into the part is the $1 million in the K-12
Yeah.
curriculum adoption, which is there, and how to kind of go and win that particular part, right? So, yes, there are a few things we should know about it. I mean, every publisher should be kind of aware about it, and
Yes.
then kind of
Yeah.
take it. Of course, it's not a rocket science. You got to understand most of the stuff and put together and go ahead. Otherwise, you can approach companies like Kitabu or anybody else who could absolutely help you in taking you the onboarding step. But that 100 days could kind of come down to 9 or 2 days,
Yep.
right? So that's definitely an option for that too, right? And definitely you would need a technical support because there's a lot of complications, at least in terms of the back end, which has not been seen from the front, but at the back end, there's a lot of things which regulation needs, which every state actually is demanding a different one. Every
Mhm.
subject is, demanding a different one. So all those
Yes.
complications, that could be now really being solved in a very, very easy way. So
Mhm.
fantastic. Thank you very much, Leslie, for this
Thank you, Paula.
incredible session. Absolutely been sharing powerful insights on tackling the K-12 curriculum adoption challenges and also talking about how digital transformation is shaping, the kind of the future of the education which we have been talking about. And also the most important part is I really love the fact is how you're kind of aligned the state standards and aligning them with, and how you kind of help that to boost engagements and connecting
Mhm.
that with the revenue with various tools.
Yes.
And again, Kitabu is one of the tools, and you also have other tools, but yes, Kitabu does help at doing it. And thanks for sharing that example too. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you
Oh,
very
thank
much.
you so
And
much.
thank you. And thank you all our attendees for joining us today. We'll follow up with the recording to you
Mhm.
guys. And if you have, and we also have a few resources. And if you have any other questions, I know there are a few other questions, we will have our team answering them. And if you have any more, you're absolutely welcome to come to kitabu.com, taboo.com, and you can take a demo of the product, or a disco call. We kind of call it the discovery call. You can understand if the product is the right fit, or you have any other questions. We are happy to answer that too. For now, until the next time, keep innovating. Have a great day. Thank you very much.